Brevity for this organization, for ISIS, for the so-called Islamic State, is the civilian population.
I think it's a very narrow look that is in Western media. It has been usually talked about as ISIS being primarily or exclusively a terrorist organization, which is not what they are. They are an insurgency organization. We've seen an evolution of the jihadist threat in general. We have moved way beyond the global jihadist threat that we were facing 10 years ago. Today, the currency in jihadism in general is holding territory, providing public services.
Do airstrikes add to the mix overall is probably the better question. I think airstrikes have shown over the last almost year and a half that they haven't done anything against ISIS. They haven't really eroded their capabilities, and they haven't really brought ISIS closer to the verge of collapse.
I think considering where we were last year, the fight is actually going quite well.
No, I think that's the key problem here. We need to look at this as an insurgency environment where it's very important to build a strong relationship between the security sector and local communities. Correct, you need to put boots on the ground.
Okay.
I mean, if we look at Iraq, first of all, it's a spiral of violence that didn't start 10 years ago, it didn't start under Nouri Maliki, and it didn't start under Saddam Hussein. We're looking at a spiral that is historic. I think it doesn't help us here when we quote numbers and say 25% are Shia, Sunni and 75% are Shia. It's not about the numbers, it's about perception. It's about the perceived reality in Sunni communities.
The battle has now actually entered the ground zero, which is the outskirts of Mosul.
It is a proxy war, right? As everything that's going on in the Levant at the moment, Iraq and Syria as well.
Once again to Andreas Krieg, defence analyst and assistant professor of defence studies at King's College in London. Welcome back.
Well, what is victory anyway? Because it's not just liberating the city, it's about being there, staying there and stabilizing the city. It's going to take months and months. We don't know yet how long it's going to take. The battle is right at the heart of civilian dwellings, and this is the key. Another key problem, how do you win over the population after you bomb them for month and month? And I think this makes this huge difference from all the other operations we've seen in the past, because now you have an enemy, unlike Saddam's enemy, who will not just disappear and run away. They will fight, even if there's just one man standing and he is basically in a house somewhere. You'll need to find him and take him out. We've seen over the last 4 years already kind of a surrogate war, whereby various proxies are fighting against each other, various parties involved. It's very much a world war on a small scale. Russia wants to show that it's still a global player. Same situation as in the Ukraine. That's the primary objective why Russia got involved, is to try to consolidate the Assad control of the areas that it controls today. That's especially Latakia, but also now Aleppo. On the same side, and they're playing on the same side as the Russians do. They're proxies of Iran. They are being not only staffed with Iraqi militias. These militias are Shia militias. They're being staffed also with Afghanis who are being brought from Afghanistan. It has been divide and conquer since last year. Basically, everything they've tried to do around Aleppo, and this is even the Hafiz al-Assad strategy that we've seen already in the 1980s, is about trying to create an envelope, besiege a territory, smoke it out, destroy the entire infrastructure, making civilians leave. I mean, this is the last big stronghold for the opposition, Aleppo, right? If you lose this, you're losing Aleppo. To blame ourselves for not having done enough in Syria. But even when the Syrian regime claims victory and seizing, arguing that they've seized a certain territory, it doesn't mean they have the capacity and the capability to actually sustain and hold that kind of territory. And I think there's now been a realization, not just in Riyadh, but in all the coalition capitals, that we need to use ground forces. What needs to happen is inclusion. There is only a political solution in Yemen, and what the coalition is trying to do right now is trying to induce this kind of negotiated political solution.
Here with me in Doha, Andreas Krieg.